Hey, how's it going? You are witnessing the very start of my YouTube journey, and right off the bat, I am going to be upfront by saying I'm not going to be putting a lot of energy or effort into these videos, and that is mainly because I wanted to save all my creative output for the paintings themselves. But I do want to focus on just kind of a stream of consciousness, whatever comes to mind, talking about the painting itself and painting in general and what I've learned over the 12 plus years of doing this as a professional and for myself and working on my own art business, all that kind of cool stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But right now I'm drawing Cyrene from Devilman. She is the coolest character ever. Not really, but I really like the wings on her head, and specifically her legs, her talons, and her crazy, awesome bird feet, which is what I wanted to focus on specifically within this painting and this whole composition. But you'll see later on, and I do this. This is a trend with my creative process. Is I'll start with a whole composition in mind that'll kind of just feed onto itself. Like I'll start with a pose and then be like, okay, she's clearly in a sitting position, so in this case she's sitting on like some cool hellish fountain, so let's add some like demon bat wings and keep the symmetry really tight to emphasize the focal point, which is the figure in this case. And then I'll go on this and I'll spend like an entire day on it. I'll be like, okay, let's get the sketch super tight, let's throw some colors on it, let's do this. And then I'll just completely pivot and 180 and be like, I don't like this anymore, and I'll either rework the pose to try to keep the same idea, or you'll see later on in this case that I'll scrap the entire thing, but keep one thing that I do like in this, which this case turned out to be the face and the wings on the head and stuff like that. It's definitely, it has its pros and cons, the way I do stuff like this. The pros being I get a piece done, I guess. I guess maybe there's not really too many pros, to be honest, prawns. There's definitely a lot of cons. Like, looking back at it now, I actually do think this composition and this initial idea I had for this painting would have worked out and been pretty awesome. Like, it would have all worked together, and thematically there would have been a bigger story at play too. But I do have this thing, and I think it's like a fear-based issue where I just don't trust myself enough that the painting is going to work and that everything's going to be good and better in this case. So then I just immediately rework it into something else, which you see I'm doing right now. I think initially I started this rework because I didn't like the pose, which I will stand by too. Like, I don't think it was anatomically that tight, and also I wanted to emphasize stylized anatomy with this piece. So like sharper angles, more exaggerated features, which you can see now, like this pose already looks considerably better in my opinion, because there's a lot more dynamic shapes, which really emphasize the vibe I was going for this piece. As cool as that initial gesture was, you're going to see that I do not follow through with that at all. I ended up going for more of a bust kind of thing, like eradicating the whole reason why I wanted to paint this character in the first place, which was her legs. I wanted to draw her crazy ass bird feet. So here you can see, and I apologize for not filming how we got to this point. This video is going to end soon because I didn't finish coloring it either, but this is the bust I ended up going with, and I primarily made this decision and directive because I wanted to emphasize what I felt at that time the coolest part of the painting was her face and her expression, and I wanted to make that as big as possible, which meant cropping out most of her lower half. So this is a great example, and you'll be able to see in my later videos how dramatic the change is from the start and the whole conceptual design of my composition, my painting, how I choose the posing, the gesture, all of that, and then it just completely 180s, and then like I just make an entirely different piece. And this is what I've done for every single one of my paintings, which I don't think is the most efficient thing. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's good to do this, though all of my attempts so far of correcting this behavior have been all for naught. Like, this has just not been a feasible thing for me to work in any other way. I've made some great pieces off of this stuff, but I do think there are ways to go about painting and doing it better, faster, cleaner, and just like getting it right the first time, or like trusting yourself, which I'll go into in more detail later, like confidence in being an artist and other crazy stuff like that. Like I have a lot of ideas in mind for this YouTube channel, but for now, that's about it. Here's the finished painting of Cyrene from Devilman. Very cool character, very mediocre show, very controversial and weird ass show. I think the Netflix adaptation they did a few years ago is downright unwatchable. It is horrible. Like, not content wise, like of course there's like boobs and butts everywhere, but that's whatever. It's just the writing is so atrociously bad, and I hated it. I really liked it as a kid, but now I do not like it. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's about it. See you later.